Here we are again, once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship of North Carolina. We're here in person, which is so exciting after a year and a half. And I particularly want to say thank you to everyone. This is unique times, and we may have low number because of the increase in cases right now. So thank you for braving it tonight, being here. We'll try to be as safe as we can for you. My name is Susan Hunter, and I'm the chairperson and program coordinator for Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship. And this organization has been around since 1973. So SFF could not have survived this long without the support of our community, which is you. Because you decided to show up to learn more about metaphysical topics and your spiritual path, we still exist. Okay, so if you're interested, you know who to talk to. Go to our website as well. So we are on YouTube, we're on Meetup, Facebook, Instagram pages. So please like, share, and follow. Our talks are, since last year, we started putting on our YouTube site. We have the entire talk that you can just go watch. So if you go there, it's great. It'd be great if you shared and liked and followed and all that. That helps us as well. But we just want to get the information out to you guys. So you feel free to look at our YouTube site. Let's see. Oh, we do have a newsletter. You can go to our website, sign up for that. Most of you are probably already on it to know of the upcoming events. One disclaimer, we just want to make sure everybody understands that with all of our lectures, as with any information you're going to receive, we ask that you use your own discernment and find what is the truth in your heart. Not everything's going to resonate with everyone, but we just want to make sure you understand that. And again, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's really good to see everybody. I would like to invite Eileen Genna, wife of Vincent Genna, to come to do his introduction. So, here we go.
I got it. Oh. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I can't believe we're actually in person. It's really nice to see everybody. I think I know almost everybody here. But just in case you don't know who we are, Vincent and I have been together for 48 years, and we just celebrated 43 married just last month. When we were dating, I always thought, he was going to be rich and famous because he was an actor, and he was in the movie Grease, and he had done all this fun stuff, and we lived in LA, and then the universe had different plans for us. And he had an awakening. We were only married a couple years. He was age 28, and life changed drastically for us. He started channeling. This is long before Esther. I thought he was going crazy. Checked with my mom, should I put him in some sort of a sane asylum but everything he said was good. It was just really good. And the more he studied and the more we listened, the more his abilities started increasing, and his psychic ability and his mediumship. But he didn't want to be classified just as a psychic and medium, so he went back to school. We had 2 young kids, went back to school, got his master's in clinical social work, worked for hospice. He helped over 500 people transition into their next existence, and learned quite a bit. And then he said, can't do this anymore. I got to get to people before they end up on hospice. So he packed it up, and he came out of the psychic closet and just labeled himself as a psychic medium. He's been lately, especially this past 18 months, doing a lot, he is packed full with private readings with people. And he does we traveled a lot in the country, but since then he's been on Zoom and on TV and radio all over the country. I think yesterday he was in Tennessee, Sarasota, and San Francisco or somewhere. It's just been phenomenal for us just because he's had a lot of opportunity now with Zoom and technology. So I haven't heard tonight's talk, but I can tell you, you are in for a treat because I saw all the paraphernalia come in from Amazon. So without much ado, we're going to just introduce my husband, Vincent Genna.
Good evening. Wow, we are live. Not Zoom or StreamYard or anything like that. Oh my goodness, it's great to see some people today. It's fabulous. There are others here too, you just don't see them, I do. That's the mediumship part. Welcome. Welcome. Isn't it more exciting and thrilling to be experiencing these things in person? Don't you think that that's something we're supposed to be learning? Right? Well, tonight is going to be talking all about that. The first half, we're going to be talking about the fifth dimension and ascending and the age of Aquarius and all of that. In the second half, I'm going to take you on a journey, hopefully so that you have your own personal experience tonight. I have my experiences all the time. And just in case I have one while I'm talking to you, just keep listening, that's okay. So, back in the very early 60s, scientists were working with drugs and chemicals, as they usually are, trying to resolve one problem. And as in all these trials and researchings, they wind up discovering something else along the way. And in one particular German doctor, scientist, discovered some mind-altering drug called LSD. And it was used clinically, of course, at first. One of the things they discovered is that it changed the way lab rats were responding and reacting in clinical settings and what trials they were doing. And so this doctor decided that he was going to take some himself, a small dose, just to see what was happening or what would happen. And he had a mind-altering experience. Well, soon after that, it got out publicly about these mind-altering drugs and LSD. And so the public started to get it, and the 60s began. Psychedelics, the whole reason for this is what people were experiencing on that mind-altering drug. And also, psilocybin came into use. Psilocybin is more commonly known as magic mushrooms. And so, once the public got it, the usual thing happens. They took advantage of it. It got way out of hand. Not only were people having absolutely phenomenal experiences on it, but the opposite occurred as well. Some people had horrible experiences, demon-like experiences on it. Some even wound up accidentally committing suicide. So, as soon as something like that happens, the government steps in and squashed everything, made it completely illegal to use and to even test mind-altering drugs. But what was bad about that is that the scientists were realizing that if they used one dose on people who were experiencing severe depression or severe PTSD or severe alcoholism, it changed them instantaneously. One experience. What was this experience? Here's the one thing that they found out about both psilocybin and LSD. It does not put any images in your brain. It releases them. It did make people connect. People saw God. The God experience through LSD and psilocybin. As a matter of fact, today even, there is a fun, relaxing dose, because you can still get psilocybin, you can get LSD anywhere you want, illegally. But there is a low dose of psilocybin, magic mushrooms, that gives you the buzz, makes you feel good, but there's also the God dose. Now, the interesting thing about that is the spiritual community took advantage of that, and also Indian practices. Ayahuasca. How many people have heard of ayahuasca? And the retreats that people go on to experience ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is the exact same type of drug. It is mind-altering. And people claim these wonderful experiences that all of a sudden with ayahuasca, after you've thrown up violently about 4 or 5 times, after you drink the vile stuff that it is, and they tell you, the leader tells you that what you're throwing up are your dark demons. Ugh. If that was the case, every bulimic woman will have had all their demons released from vomiting so much. Every time you have a virus, you're going through a mind-altering experience there. You're releasing. Yeah, okay. I'm not so keen about throwing up a lot in order to release my childhood issues. But they thought, and that's exactly what they experienced, and people came back. I have colleagues that not only did the ayahuasca thing, they're doing the psilocybin thing, because you can go and find leaders that will do that. Of course, it's dark. I kind of feel like we're back in prohibition again, and these drugs are still being used, but now they're being used spiritually. And you have this altering experience. And this experience, the doctors and the scientists are actually saying you are connecting to something greater than yourself, something out there, another dimension. A matter of fact, that is when the first focus on the concept of dimensions and the spiritual realm or the metaphysical realm began. Because people in that altered state said they were not in their bodies. They weren't this. They were everything. They felt expanded. They did not feel themselves, the human selves, at all. And that's today what the God dose of psilocybin will do. As a matter of fact, my wife and I are in the process of reading this book that I happened upon. It's always, synchronicities always happen to us. It happens to everybody. But when you're particularly paying attention and looking for them, they happen even more so. And here I am doing this lecture today on the fifth dimension and ascending and ascension and all of that. And all of a sudden, we find a book called You Can Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan wrote other books like The Omnivore's Dilemma and different food books like that, which are fabulous. Well, this book is all about his experiences and his colleagues' experiences with psilocybin and LSD. Now, will they at some point, can this be used under a controlled circumstance? Well, they are attempting to do that and get the permission again because of how beneficial it was for those people experiencing PTSD, depression, and especially substance abuse. I find it interesting that you need a substance to help you get rid of substance abuse. That's the way we think. I like it, huh? Well, we're going to talk more about that. So, people were experiencing a new dimension. Well, at the same time, there were other scientists, physicists, studying dimensions and defining them. Now, we know we live in the third dimension. The way they defined dimensions is by points of distance. Points, because a dimension is a location more than it is anything else. So, 2 points, 1 point is a zero dimension. The zero dimension, if you just have 1 point access right here, this one dot right here, it's zero dimension. You double that, now you have two dots. The distance and the space between the first dot and the second dot, you can see that. That is now the first dimension. You double that, so now you have a square. The square has length and width, and that is the second dimension. You double that, and now you have 8 points. Connect them all. You now have a cube, so you have length, width, and depth. And that's the third dimension. We have length, width, and depth. Some of us have more depth than we want. Maybe not as much height as we'd like. Whatever, doesn't matter. But we are in the third dimension. Double that, you now have 16 points, and you're in the fourth dimension. Double that. That's how physicists define it. They have nothing to do with spirituality. As a matter of fact, the only reason why they even thought that there is a fifth dimension, because they're studying that, fifth dimension actually now introduces quantum physics. Because you have to examine more than just this earthly plane. They're even talking about black holes to help prove that there is a fifth dimension. But this is all conjecture. There is no proof of an actual fifth dimension. No proof. So why did I really want to do this lecture? I wanted to do this lecture because of the fanaticism with our spiritual community believing in ascending to a fifth dimension. You have people who have stated and shared their experiences that are different, that their minds have been in a different place, and all of a sudden they felt that they were in a different place. They weren't here. They were outside of their bodies. They were somewhere else. And so now you've got people and authors writing about that, the fifth dimension, ascending to the fifth dimension. Why do you think, how long do you think it's been since we've been talking about ascending to the fifth dimension? That's the whole reason why that group named itself the fifth dimension. Because of everybody's spiritual experience is on the psychedelic drugs. And the age of Aquarius, because the age of Aquarius is going to help us all ascend to the fifth dimension. Well, the age of Aquarius is here. I don't feel anything different. I don't see anything different. And I'm here to tell you that focusing and concentrating on the idea of ascending to the fifth dimension is stopping you from evolving at all. It's a wonderful place to be. Every place but here seems to be a wonderful place to be. And that's why everybody wants to go there. In the 60s, what was going on? We had the Vietnam War going on. We had all of this unsettlement socially. Boy, it really sounds familiar. The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 20s. It's all the same thing, just a different time, right? There was all of this unease, lack of peace, and people wanted something. They were desperately seeking something else. And then somebody else tells them, hey man, I just took this drug and I went someplace else. It was fabulous. And because I went someplace else, that's got to be a place that we can all go. And so they sing about it. They wrote songs about it. We're going to all go there. We're going to become more spiritual. We've got to rise up. And even if we have to take some of these drugs to do it, that's okay, just as long as we get there. We can't do it on JetBlue and Delta Airlines, but maybe we can do it on LSD and mushrooms. But we're going to get there. So this isn't new. This isn't novel. As a matter of fact, this is very old world. It's old thought. Because we've been trying it since the early 60s. And I don't know about you, But an individual experience, you have, we're going to talk about what that individual experience is. I experience it all the time. As a matter of fact, my wife Eileen points out when I'm experiencing it. I call it zoning out. She calls it tuning out. It depends upon the circumstance. No, I never tune out to you, honey. I never, ever do. I know. Zoning out, getting in the zone. All right. Why are we on the earth in a physical plane? Why would we leave the most peaceful place there is, with the most love, a direct connection to Source that we're aware of, no physical body, no illnesses? Why would we leave there? People are asking me that all the time. Why are we that stupid? Well, some of us, yeah. But why would we leave there? I love Jerry and Esther Hicks. They were doing a conference with Abraham, of course, and there was a gentleman in the audience who was forced to come there by his wife. Anybody here like that tonight? Good. No, I hope not. Okay, good. All right. And so he was just in a bad mood the entire night, having to listen to, he didn't believe in any of this stuff. So Esther Hicks gets to Q&A time, and he raises his hand. Oh, and his wife is as embarrassed as anything because she knows, oh my God, he's going to embarrass the heck out of me. I know that. So he gets up and he goes running over to the microphone. He goes, I have a question. And Abraham says, yes, sir, go ahead with your question. And the gentleman, very seriously, turns around and says, okay, Abraham, if dogs are supposed to be so smart, why do they insist on riding in cars with their heads out the windows only to get debris and wind blowing in their faces and eyes? And Abraham responded and said, sir, you asked the most profound question of the evening. Well, of course, his wife passed out at that point. Seriously? He goes, really? And Abraham said, yes. They do it because it's exhilarating. It's exhilarating. It's exhilarating to come to earth. Now, you know on the other side you're unlimited. You're magnificent. You're divine. You were created in its image. You know all of that. But the joy of discovering that is why we come here, is to discover who we really are. It's not just to discover pizza, even though that's good too, right? But you have to be divine in order to create such great food. And so we come here to experience that. We come here to make conscious choices, because it's the conscious choices that show you've evolved. Now, here's the interesting part. Getting to where you want to be doesn't matter. Your goals, your dreams, none of them matter, because they're all endings. The choices you make in order to achieve them, that's what matters. That's what matters. To be able to believe in something better than you're believing in right now. To be able to make a conscious choice, not an unconscious one, but a conscious choice to respond, to react the way you're supposed to be responding and acting. That's what matters. That's what truly, truly matters. Yeah, I know, man, it's so much easier to use something else to get us there. I mean, certainly, I didn't want to use my own 2 feet to get me from my house to tonight's event, because that to me is too far. But then again, even a mile is too far for me to walk anyway. I'm not into it. So I used a car to get here. It was easier. Forgive me. I took the easy way out. But there are some things it's okay to take the easy way out with, but the other things hinder us. They hinder us. Do you think you can see and feel God without ayahuasca? Do you think you can get to your inner? You see, this is the sad part, especially the ayahuasca one. I don't want to talk against it really, even though I sound like I am. Only because if you want the advanced class, you've got to learn these things. If you don't want the advanced class and you don't necessarily care about evolving, go for the experience, it's okay. But don't then say and call me up and ask me, why am I blocked? Well, wait a minute, I just thought you threw up all your blockages. How come you're not more advanced? And I see that all the time. I see these people, my colleagues, my friends, who have gone and done these things, and I've seen nothing change in their lives except they came home happier for that time period. You know, you have an infection, you can take an antibiotic to try to get rid of it, but if you don't truly work on it and go to the source of the infection, you're only covering it up. So if you truly on your own can't get to the point that the psilocybin, the LSD, the ayahuasca is going to get you, how evolved are you truly? You've got to be able to make those choices. So what is the fifth dimension? Now, I want to clarify that. It is a location. All your dimensions are locations. And this is why the concept of ascending to the fifth dimension is completely wrong. I'm a medium. I talk with dead people. I talk with dead people who attach to the earth, commonly known as ghosts. And I talk with dead people that are in the higher dimensions. So where are those ghosts? Okay, if you read any Edgar Cayce material, he believed, or he tranced, that there are 22 different dimensions, basically. 22 different dimensions. There's the earthly dimensions, and then there's the higher realm dimensions. Now, you've heard NDE people who have had near-death experiences, describe the beginning of their experience all the same way. They go through a tunnel of light, or they see a light. All right. Well, guess what that light is? Consider it, and if you're from New York or from any place that has subways, an express train. It's an express train. And when each of you, when it's ready for you and your soul has decided, I want to go, most likely you're going to see that light. And as you go through it, because you've got guides on the other side coming, come on, it's okay. It's all right, we've been waiting for you. They're taking you on the express train. The express train bypasses all of the earthly dimensions. And guess what one of the earthly dimensions is? The fifth dimension. The fourth, the fifth, the sixth, even maybe the seventh. I'm not sure exactly how many dimensions are closest to the earthly universe. But I can assure you this, if you want to ascend into the fifth dimension, be prepared. You're going to be meeting a lot of Civil War soldiers, Revolutionary War soldiers there, people who have horribly died, all the ghosts that are caught on the earth. Say hello. Bring some garlic cloves with you. You can get rid of the negative ones. No, that won't help. They don't have noses. That's where the other spirits reside. And why do you want to go someplace else to experience the highest part of who you are and leave here? You can do that. When you completely cross over, you'll experience your spiritual self. I promise that. But while you're here, you're supposed to experience your earthly self. You're supposed to experience your earthly self combined and receiving the guidance from your spiritual self. All right, well, Vinny, that's the reason why I'm doing the ayahuasca and the psilocybin, so I can connect to my higher self, my spiritual self. That's going to give me all the guidance in the world. No, it's not. It's a short-term visit. You might see yourself and experience yourself, and then guess what? Just like Sundays and spiritual times and people going to church and everything, everybody feels God, feels good, loves, and then Monday comes and they're back to their old mundane world. Why? Because you don't know how to recreate the experience without the drug. Your job here is to not make a living. It's not to find a mate and make a family. It's not to succeed in anything other than experiencing all of who you are. And that will incorporate everything else. And the only way to do that is taking the spiritual steps, the right steps to do that, so you can live in that mode all the time. When you come back after break, I'm going to take you to that level. No, we are not passing around any psilocybin, so any of you, sorry for the disappointments, no magic mushrooms tonight. Not even any doobies. Though sometimes when I talk, it sounds like I just smoked a doobie. As it should, quite honestly. Listen to me, folks. When you touch the foot of spirit, when you touch the depths of your soul, you don't want to be unconscious for that. You don't want to be in such a mind-altering state that you'd never know how to replicate it. You want to know how to get there all the time, and you want to give yourself the credit for doing it. The pure example, maybe some of you can relate to this. A fad diagnosis here in the United States is ADHD of all elementary and school-age children who can't seem to sit quietly in class and concentrate and focus. So it's got to be a new disorder. It has nothing to do with the education system or the teachers or the lack of parenting. It has to do with a defect in the child. So what do they give the child? They give the child drugs like Ritalin. And because Ritalin allows the child to focus more, they feel that that's beneficial. I have a secret to tell you. Anybody who takes Ritalin is going to focus more. Adults, the same way. And so doctors said that because the Ritalin works, it must mean that the child has ADHD. No, it doesn't. That was a conclusion, a false conclusion to come to, because it does affect everybody. But guess the new phenomena that we have going on now is the children knowing that the only reason why they're doing well in school is because of the Ritalin. They don't even get to take the credit for making right and better choices. How many of you give your credit away to something? I understand that some people need to be on drugs. It helps them. Just so you know, if I burst anybody's bubble with this, I'm sorry, I have to in order to get to the healing point. Doctors believe that biology could be wrong with you, which is the reason why you might need a certain medication. Well, that's true with some illnesses, but it's not true with mental health. Sorry. The whole reason why you will have an imbalance chemically is, remember, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. What does that mean? We are energies. Energy, having a physical experience. Energy manipulates matter, the law of physics. Matter is anything that's physical, that you can touch, that has density. Therefore, energy, which you are, affects 100% every aspect of your body. And energy is charged positively or negatively based on your thinking and beliefs. So all those negative beliefs that you may have experienced and heard, and all the negative messages that came to you that packed inside of you, that is affecting your physical and mental health. Now, you can change that and alter that by altering your beliefs. And sometimes being on medication can help you through the process of thinking better, because there is a chemical reaction. But understand this, thoughts create feelings. The thought always has to come first. But then the feelings influence the thoughts. So you can get into this spiral down motion, right? You're feeling bad, you're going to think bad, you think bad, you're feeling worse. And so medication can break that. I understand that. I understand that. But don't leave it there. Don't accept that whatever medication you're on today is all you need to do. You're not here to get through life. You're not here to get through life. And the proof of that is, do you think you'd be sitting in the audience today to listen to some enlightenment of some kind that I'd like to believe that I'm sharing? Do you think you would make those choices if you just cared about getting through life? You don't. You want more. So here's the answers. You have to come to depend on you to get you in a higher consciousness. So I want you to shift the idea of going into a fifth dimension. That is baloney and nonsense. What you want to do is to get yourself into an altered consciousness that doesn't take you to a different place. You will still be here. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have out-of-body experiences. Your soul does have out-of-body experiences, but even that's another fad in the metaphysical world. Ooh, I'm going on an astral projection. Well, it's definitely cheaper than JetBlue. But let me tell you about astral projections and how dangerous they are. It's completely different than a soul-controlled, out-of-body experience. At night, when you're dreaming, many times your soul takes you to a divine place, another dimension, to learn something new, to help you in some way. An out-of-body experience is controlled by your soul. An astral projection is controlled by your mind. And why that is dangerous is because your mind and thinking are dangerous. It's your thinking that gets you in trouble to start with, so why on earth would you want your thinking to control where your soul is going to go on a journey? You want the divine part of you to control that, and that is not there. I know there's societies right now. You can Google astral projection societies. Oh, they're going to teach you how to do it. Oh, everybody's going to have a great experience, and we are still fighting the stupid crap about blacks are equal, gays are equal, women deserve the same rights, and people all over the world have been doing this stuff for ages. And Albert Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same set of beliefs that created it. So the beliefs have to change. This ancient wisdom that we have, all right, our spiritual realm here, we don't have all of those same prejudices because we are more evolved in that way. We're evolved in that thinking. So that's wonderful and great. But if you can't get your life together, if you can't experience what you're meant to experience here, then it really doesn't matter how spiritual you are. Because spirituality is more than the words. It's the practice. It's the walking it. So you want to get yourself out of a mundane consciousness into a higher consciousness. December 21st, 2012, the Mayan calendar ended. Everybody thought it was going to be the end of the world. That's because they've been doing too much ayahuasca. It wasn't the end of the world. It was the end of a consciousness, an old consciousness. There was a shift at that point universally. And if you go back in time, you will see from that point on, more of this material came forward. More authors writing about spiritual concepts, about the law of attraction, about all that you're able to create for yourself by tapping into that universal law. That all became very popularized. And more people are interested in it because the old ideas didn't work. The old religious ideas, the scientific ideas, they weren't working. They weren't getting us anyplace. Okay, but understand that even if you're in the spiritual realm, even the spiritual realm has roadblocks. And it's all in the metaphysical realm has roadblocks. These concepts that you're meant to ascend and go to a different level or place. Gosh, have you ever held a baby, a newborn, especially if somebody that you love, and your heart just gets filled? Ever a time when you're with your partner and your eyes tear up because of how much you love that person? Or you hear a song and it just brings you to your happy place? You just ascended. That's how you touch the highest part, the divine part, the spirit within you. It's those moments. You experience them all the time. You go to different zones all the time. You don't even know you're doing that. Now you have to be conscious in doing that so that you can enjoy it more, experience it more, and experience it on a higher level. And guess what? You're not meant to experience it alone. That's another spiritual concept. Individuality. Independence. This coronavirus has shown me one thing, the most important thing. Your individual ascension or evolvement is meaningless unless your brothers and sisters are with you. We were not put on this earth for our own individual experience. We were put on this earth to experience ourselves as individuals and in unity. Because the individual experience is only one level of the entire picture. It's the group level that matters. You know, and this is the only thing I'm saying about politics, The political concept of no child shall be left behind, that was in one administration. They developed that concept. Where do you think that was inspired from? Everything we come up with that we think is new is inspired from someplace. Because the real concept is no soul left behind. You can't ascend unless you take somebody with you. And this coronavirus is the proof of that. Because there's only one way to heal it and one way only. It's not even the vaccination. Not even the vaccination. Why do you think you're sitting here with masks on? Because it's now been shown that you can still get the coronavirus even if you've been vaccinated. But do you know how you stop the coronavirus? How do you stop any virus from continuing? You starve it to death. You starve the virus. How do you starve a virus? You eliminate the hosts. You eliminate the creatures and beings that the virus lives off of. How do you do that amongst us? You wear masks and you social distance. Oh my goodness! We have to think about other people now. This is the most spiritual proof I have ever received of my work, is that none of our individual growth matters, because you're at home experiencing your dimension, and there's still people around you getting sick and dying. Believe it or not, my phone is on silence. Obviously, somebody somewhere likes what I just said. I love when that happens. Okay, I even forgot what I just said, so I'm sorry. You're at home experiencing your own health and safety, your own spirituality, your own growth. You om, you meditate, maybe every day, maybe 3 times a day. You read wonderful books. You watch your videos. You accept that the neighbor doesn't believe. You accept that your neighbor has different beliefs than you. It's okay, you're going to ignore that. You're going to do your own thing. And there are still people around you suffering and dying. So see, what you do individually doesn't matter. And the only way that this is going to stop and end for all of us, and not just the virus. What do you think? It's not this virus. The virus doesn't matter. It's the fact that it happened that mattered. And it happened at a time that we weren't caring about each other at all. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of killing. Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it racism, you want to call it prejudice, you want to call it bigotry, you want to call it whatever you want to call it. There's all the different words that they created to talk about sexism, ageism, all of those wonderful concepts, but it's the exact same thing. It's not caring about yourself and not caring about others. That's the bottom line. Whatever that looks like doesn't matter. It's there, it's here, so it's proof that we're doing it wrong. And I promise you, psilocybin and LSD is not going to make you do it right. It never has. It never will. It's not supposed to. We're the power, we're the drug. We're the ones that get into that zone. We're the ones that can feel and touch spirit and source and us and who we really are. But how can you do that if you don't believe in yourself and you don't love yourself and you don't think you're special? You have to think you're special in order to feel good. You have to. And in order to feel special, you got to get rid of all that other crap that's your believing is telling you you're not. And in order to do that, you got to do some work, some very hard work to retrain all of that stuff inside of you. that's going on, all the things that are saying, no, you're in this dimension, you're in this world, this mundane world. Look at all the, oh, it's horrible around us. Yes, I'm pointing it out, but I'm pointing it out as a reason. Believe me, I'm not a negative person. But I'm also not going to stand up here and ohm with you and think everything is perfect the way it is. It is not. It sucks. And you're deluding yourself if you can't say that. Right now, life sucks. Yes, I have wonderful colleagues. There are all the others that make you feel good. And they're there for a reason. We need to feel good sometimes, right? Besides feeling our garbage, we need to feel the good stuff. But that doesn't mean, first of all, the only reason why it feels like garbage is because you're convincing yourself that it is. I don't care what's wrong with you. I don't care what your internal issue is. It's not that bad. You're not that bad. You're not a bad person at all. You may have had bad experiences and bad memories, but that doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. You want that past to define who you are? Fine. I work with people all the time. Call me up. I'll help you. But you define who you are. You can acknowledge it. You can feel it. You can ascend. All on your own beliefs. Now, this is the interesting thing about it that people keep asking me all the time. Why does it work for some people? Why does the law of attraction, why does manifesting work for some people? Why do some people feel they're in that altered state of consciousness, but I can't get there? Because it does take work. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration and focus. It really does. It's just like anything, right? If you want to develop your muscles, you want to feel stronger, you want to increase your endurance, you've got to commit to yourself to go out, to go to the gym, to go do some walking, to eat right. You want to stop bad habits, you've got to commit to yourself. Man, it's not easy. That's why we are where we are. And we happen to be one of the only beings in this entire existence of life, not just this universe, but all universes, that happens to be the most archaic. Sorry. It's taken us a lot longer, which is why all the alien and extraterrestrials are coming down. They're trying to hasten and expedite our learning. We have a hard enough time. Accepting black people, and now we've got to accept the fact that there are aliens out there that are highly evolved. We got to worry about what's going on here for sure, but take things, for example, we even want to make them bad beings because of our own fears. We want to make everybody bad except us, right? It's easier, which is the reason why there's prejudice, is it? We don't believe anything that we're saying like that. We're not horrible, angry, mean, nasty people. We're divine. We are God. And if you can't deal with that word, spirit. Apparently in California, I'm not allowed to use the word God anymore because they're beyond that word. And meanwhile, they're not any more evolved than the rest of this world. But they use a better word. See, it's all in the words that we're learning. All of these concepts. Here's the thing. See this, the iPhone, our technology. This is making us think we're advanced. Well, as long as I can get a new, they got iPhone 13 now. I didn't even get to 12 yet. Now they have 13. Oh my gosh, technology is like going like this, and we feel so advanced because of the technology, and we are so archaic civilly and spiritually that the technology is hiding that. We use these things as deterrents to not have to think about our own issues or us, because it all starts with us. Right? It all starts with us. It's about the choices we make, and the choices are about making us feel right. You know those 10 commandments that were created? Well, they were actually created as guidelines. And do you think it's because that's what God didn't like? I don't like when you people lie. Well, you can't lie to me because I'm up here, but you're down there. I don't like when you lie. I don't like when you cheat. I don't like when you steal. No, it has nothing to do with that. Those guidelines have everything to do with when we do something like that, how does it make us feel? Bad. So the guidelines are about don't do things that make you feel bad, because then you don't feel divine. Make higher choices, and those guidelines aren't all of them. When you know you want to do something for yourself, you get an inspiration. I don't care what it is. I want to learn how to draw. I'd love to play the guitar. I want to write. I'd love to go on a trip and meet some new people elsewhere. And then you deny it and no, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. You're denying yourself. You're saying that your thoughts and your feelings aren't important enough to pursue. And yet you want to go to the next dimension when we can't even get it right in this one. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's okay. I know you're out of... See, but that's a zoning there. You can feel. So, like I said, when you come back, we're going to be taking a break in just a few minutes. When we come back, I'm going to try to help you with that altered state. It's from a mere reverie that I'm going to guide you through, hoping that you feel something, that you can recreate yourself. But it's about commitment. It's not about researching new concepts. It's wonderful and the information is new. Believe me, I am not telling you, oh, stop reading all the books now and stop. No, because the reading, the pursuing, the taking a new lecture, coming to a spiritual center, that is all there to help awaken. To awaken. Not to put, because you are filled with everything you already need. You are filled with every single ounce of information ever created, because upon creation, you were created in its image, and this is not a religious thing either, this is a scientific thing. You were created, it can only create. When a power creates another power, and that power is omnipotent and unlimited, it cannot create anything limited. That's the law of physics. So from one higher force will come another higher force. Now, we as humans can deplete and limit that force, which is what we're doing here, but we chose to do that. We want a limited experience so that we can grow and start to feel that maybe I'm more than just a limited experience. And then the choices we make us feel good when something great happens. Right? When you manifest, how many people here get excited when they're trying to manifest something and it happens? Dang, that feels great. And then you want to manifest more. And you want to manifest more. Or anything that you go to accomplish feels good. That's the point of the accomplishment, not the accomplishment itself. The point that it makes you feel good. You need to start taking more credit for the things that you are doing that make you feel good. And I promise you, there is nothing that will hurt another human being that will make you feel good. Now, you may think punching your neighbor in the face is going to make you feel good. And momentarily, like a drug, it could. But then afterwards, you'll have to live with the guilt of having done that. It's so funny, I'm actually watching a television series right now, The Titans. It's a DC, like Marvel comic television show, so it's a DC with Superman and those characters. And Batman and Robin in it, for the first time, actually kill a perpetrator, a criminal. And they've never done that before. And they feel guilty as hell. and it stops and stunts their growth. They can't even do anything more positive anymore because they feel so guilty having hurt another person. So, we're not meant to do that. We only do it out of anger and fear. When we come back, we're going to take a break now. Do your thing. Let's come back really quickly so I can bring you in this so that I can raise you to that level that you can replicate yourself anytime you want. Enjoy your break. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Great. Thank you, Vincent Genna.
So, second half, here we go. And you're looking sharp.
No, thank you. I've got my mic.
You've got
I've got a mic. We can bring the house lights back down again. Oh, great. Good. So, thank you. That makes it easier. What? You can't hear me? Can't understand me? So just to summarize, the fifth dimension is not a place for you to ascend to. It's a location. It's part of the earthly dimensions. You can alter your consciousness so that you experience your higher self. See, the left brain thinking is what gets in the way. The left brain is completely separate than the right brain. As a matter of fact, left brain is in your conscious part of your mind, and the right brain is in your unconscious part of your mind. And just to remind you, if you don't remember or haven't heard this, your right brain contains your ability to nurture, your intuition, your emotions, your creativity. That's all right brain stuff, and that's deep down inside of you, or deep down inside here, if we're trying to find a location somewhere in your brain and your mind. And by the way, scientists and doctors have no idea where the mind is. They know where the brain is, but they have no idea, and they admitted it. We cannot tell where the mind is, because the mind is part of your soul. And then the left brain contains your ability to reason, to think, to rationalize. It's also the part that allows you to take risks and is courageous. And because of the qualities that went with them, they tended to label the right brain as being your feminine, divine feminine side, and your left brain as being the divine masculine side. Now remember, we're the ones that also separated the sexes. Not God, not spirit. We were never created this way. We created this. And that's a whole nother lecture. But allowing yourself to shift to a higher consciousness takes you from your left brain thinking into your right brain essence, because it's also that intuition is what connects you to your soul, and your soul is connected to your higher consciousness, your higher soul, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, the higher realms and dimensions. So it's not when you connect to your soul that you're going there, it's you're bringing there here. Always think of, like, why do we practice mindfulness and the concept of the here and now and enjoying the here and now moment, but keep trying to go someplace else while we're in the here and now? Right? Aren't we doing that? We're trying to do that by this concept of ascending to a higher realm in this life. No, you're supposed to be enjoying here and now purposely, because that's where you get to control everything, in the here and now, in your consciousness. And your consciousness only accounts for 2 to 5% of your entire mind. 95 to 98% of your mind is in unconscious awareness, which is why you have no idea what's going on in the major part of your mind. You go to psychics like myself because I get to see what's going on in there before you even get to see it. Sometimes it does sneak through. But the point of being, whether it's divine feminine, whether it's divine masculine, you need to keep yourself in a state of feeling, intuition, nurturing, creativity, because that's the whole purpose of being here. Thinking through your life is meaningless. You'll be coming back again to do it the right way. Feeling your way through life is purposeful, even when the feelings hurt. Now, we do not create hurt feelings purposely. Let me repeat that. You want me to repeat that? I heard, not you didn't hear, I hear. We do not create bad feelings purposely. They come along with life. And we want to even develop concepts. There are beliefs and concepts, again, in our spiritual... I keep doing the quotes. I know we're not supposed to do air quotes anymore, right? Well, the hell with it. I'm doing quotes. It's my event. And so, we want to believe that none of that matters, when in fact that's what matters the most, what you're feeling. Getting into that by choice, by control, that's the important thing. Because that's what you want to feel. That's what the higher consciousness is all about anyway. People are feeling. They're getting in the zone and they're feeling something other than the mundane world. But you're doing it while you're here, and you're doing it under control to motivate you. Because the more you feel your higher soul, the more you want to do more for yourself, for life, for others, which is the reason why we are here together. There is a psalm, I forgot the number, 108, that actually Leonard Bernstein put to music. He called it the Chichester Psalms, which was a couple of psalms together. But the last psalm of the entire writing and music that he wrote it's this most beautiful piece. If you ever get to look and search for Leonard Bernstein's Chichester Psalms, it's all in Hebrew, but you want to just go and get the translated lyrics. There is a very short piece, and the music is beautiful, and the words say, I put you on the earth together to experience unity. To experience unity. And in the first part, I said it doesn't matter if you evolve by yourself and you take no one with you. So how do we do that? How do we become responsible then? Well, I remember a story in the Old Testament when Cain killed Abel. And God asked Cain, where is your brother? And Cain said, well, am I my brother's keeper? And there was no answer. The non-answered answer was yes. Yes. Because this is your family. And you can tell who's caring and who's not caring. Again, this stupid coronavirus is pointing it out for us. And it's not even people who are not caring about others. It's about them not caring about themselves. Those who refuse to walk around and put the masks on or get the vaccinations because they think, oh, this is all baloney. Well, the first start is non-caring about themselves. That's the first thing they did wrong, the most important thing. Because if they took the time to care about themselves, they would automatically say, well, let me wear the mask in the store. I don't believe that I'm going to hurt, but I just want to make sure that I don't hurt anybody else. That's what this is all about, is teaching us to care about ourselves and care about each other, because that's the answer. And it's in your caring. So how do you care about people who don't want to be cared about? you care about them the most. You give them the most love. That doesn't mean you have to go along with them and agree with everything that they do. But you do have to understand why they are believing. Compassion and empathy allows us to understand why another human being may act like an idiot. Because they're hurt. And if we listened over the past few years, we would hear the hurt. And the hurt is, you don't care about me. Do you understand that that's why people are lashing out? Is because they believe we don't care about them. We don't care about them. So I have to care about myself, which is an impossibility. Once you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe anybody else cares. And as long as you don't believe anybody else cares, why would you believe you even care? And just because you're taking acts of selfishness doesn't mean you're caring about yourself. You can see that every single day. Right? These people who are saying, you don't care about me, they're smoking like bandits, they're drinking like crazy, they're taking drugs, they ride around with shotguns. I'm not afraid. Isn't that funny? I just saw a meme, a graphic just the other day, yesterday, a matter of fact, that this woman is in Walmart and she has a gun at her side, but no mask. And the caption is, I'm not afraid of the coronavirus. Then what are you afraid of? I'm just afraid of people. That's what they're walking around with the guns for. Because they're afraid. What are they afraid of? They're afraid you're going to hurt them. Why? Because they don't feel you care about them. That's the sins of this world. So what is the cure? Caring, loving, walking in light. Telling them, I may not appreciate the choices you're making, but I believe in you. The funny thing is, every spiritual leader that walked this earth never recruited followers. Now, let me just correct the beginning, one of the earlier, Jesus himself. He went around and he said, in the beginning, to some people, join me, follow me. But that was for his apostles, only because he knew there was a soul contract going on. And he just had to remind them, by the way, you agreed you were going to come along with me because you were going to be one of the teachers, so come on. But everybody else, the masses, they joined him because of the way he was making them feel about themselves. He made them feel God cared, that they were lovable, that they were divine. Gandhi did the same thing in India. He kept preaching and talking about how important you were. Martin Luther King Jr., success in having civil rights had nothing to do with convincing white people they should be treating blacks equally. He was convincing the black people that they should feel better about themselves and not like slaves. Nelson Mandela did the same thing, and we can go on and on and on about them. And the masses wanted, they followed that. And they did it together. They wanted to be in masses so that they can say to each other, yeah, do you feel that? Yeah, man, I feel that too. Oh, man, you're my brother. And they hug and they kiss. And they feel the power. You're not just experiencing your own energy. You get to experience the energy of your neighbor, your brother, your sister. That's the point of unity. We are completely weak alone. We get to fix nothing alone. Maybe temporarily in your household. Well, maybe you'll get your job, but guess what? Even the job that you want, even if you want to go after a dream, create your own business, advance at work, have a partner, requires another person. Unless you're on the television show Survivor. But then, even then, they require the camera crew. Otherwise, it's not a television show. You love the ones where, I forgot all that, there's so many names now, Naked and Afraid, whatever. Then there's another one where it's only one singular guy and he's out there and he's showing you that you can cut down a tree, slice it open and eat its inside or something to stay alive. Who the hell, other than a squirrel, wants to eat the inside of a tree in order to stay alive? Take me, please. I'd rather be on the other side. It's a lot more fun. But that's the thoughts. That's what's in our head. We've got to survive. No, you don't. We are dying every day, and we're taking the world with us. Because we don't want to believe that we're special. Because it's too hard to believe that we're special. Because we've lost loved ones. Because we've been sick. Because we've been in financial stress. It's got to mean that we're not special. We're just lumps of dirt on this planet, just going around with it. That's it. And we do want to believe that. Because as long as we believe that, we have an excuse for not creating the life we want. And we love excuses. But I'm really trying. It's just that all this other stuff keeps happening. Well, if you're really trying, why are you manifesting all the other stuff too? I know I'm not standing up here saying that this is easy, people. But you know what? If we do it together, I think that this room right now is filled with such power. It doesn't take the entire room being filled. What do you think what was meant by when two or more gather, there shall I be? And it wasn't Jesus talking about Jesus. It was Jesus talking about the higher part of who you are. Automatically comes to you when two or more of you gather and start talking about higher ideologies and values. When you talk about your neighbors and how bad they are, I'm not there. I'm tired of that conversation. I'm there the moment you start opening your heart. And when you do it together, I'm there even more. How much faster do people heal when a loved one is by their side telling them, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here. I was a hospice social worker. The primary reason to have caregivers was so that the person who was going through the transitioning process had support while he or she was doing that. And that support mechanism meant everything to them. Everything. Our number one fear about dying is dying alone. Now, if we were meant to do everything individually and all by ourselves, why on earth can't we die by ourselves? We don't like that. Because it means that I had no value if I'm by myself. But if I had somebody who cared for me, then maybe there is something special about me. The only person who ever cared about me truly, in the very beginning, that got me even on the path of this spiritual awakening, is my wife Eileen. She was always there. When I couldn't believe in myself, even today she still believes in me with all the grief I've given her. I can't even say I give her all my money and that was worth it, like I'm making millions or something. I'm not making millions yet. Maybe she's hoping on that. But yeah, maybe one day I can manifest that. But no, what we do give each other is unconditional love. But it was her belief in me. So we have to do this together. In a while, I'm going to be playing a song, but I promised you that I was going to take you on a journey. So I'd like to do that right now. So if you can, put everything down off your lap. It's going to be a guided meditation. Look, I understand that you may not be able to visualize well. That's okay. That is an indication that you're stuck in your left brain sometimes and the thinking part, because your imagination and creativity is in your right brain. And we survive by being able to visualize. And I promise you, you are visualizing most of the time, but you don't always know you're visualizing. So even if you're thinking through what I'm saying, that's okay too. Could we put up the PowerPoint again, Kim? From where I left off? And do the best you can in following my voice. Try to stay still. If you feel that you're drifting off, that's okay. That just means your body needs some rest, and you think you're going fully asleep, but you actually aren't. And Larry, remind me later, I know you won my CDs, but I think by now you're sick and tired of hearing my voice. I mean, we've been in group together for years, so if you'd like something else in exchange for those CDs, and you don't think, unless you want to use them for sleeping, some people have used them for that. So close your outer eyes. Oh, this is not where we are. Hold on. Take some nice deep breaths. Relax. Try to relax every part of your body. And just follow my voice. Take a nice deep breath collectively again through your nose. Let it fill the deepest crevices of your chest, feeling it fill your entire body with oxygen and air. The most important nutrient for our body is oxygen, and yet we don't breathe correctly. And with every deep breath you take, you feel more and more relaxed, confident, safe, comfortable, peaceful. Another nice deep breath in, but this time as you exhale it, hold at the top and relax then. And just breathe normally. And I'm going to ask you to start doing some visualizing. I want you to visualize your body. You know what it looks like, just sitting there where you are right now, feeling comfortable. And in the center, see your heart, or imagine what would your heart, you know what a heart looks like. You can see it pumping. I want you to see and focus on it in the center of your chest, your heart. And I want you to put in that heart, visualize it, a candle that is burning gently with a flame on the top of it, a plain, white, simple candle. And on the top, it's burning and the flame is gently flickering. I want you to focus on that flame. This is in you. This is your visualization. You can take it wherever you want, but follow me, follow what I'm saying. And you see this flame gently flickering. Focus on that in your mind's eye, the flame. And the flame begins to expand. And it starts to fill your entire heart. Just visualize that as best you can. Think it as best you can. Feel it as best you can. The flame expanding. The more you focus on that, the greater the experience will be. And the flame expands beyond the heart, beyond the confines of that muscle, into the entire chest cavity, filling the cavity. Now there's no longer just a place where the heart resides. The flame is taking over the entire inside of your body, expanding even further to the walls of your chest, to the outer parts of your chest, beyond your body now. You see this flame. Focus only on the flame, gently flickering, maintaining its outline. It never loses its energy. It never loses its flicker. It's a beautiful, gently warm flame. And the more you keep focusing on it, the greater the flame grows, bigger and bigger. As a matter of fact, it goes so beyond you, it may go and expand into your neighbor's area. It's okay. We're all one anyway, so that flame takes on the energy of the other person near you, and it grows even that much bigger. You can't contain the flame. When you release the flame in your heart, it just wants to grow to its fullest size. And that's exactly what it's doing. The flame is getting larger and larger and larger until it fills this entire room. All you see is the outline of this flame, still flickering, looking beautiful, being gentle, but yet warm, never losing its energy, never losing its luminosity. And it continues to grow beyond this building into the neighborhood, getting higher and higher and larger and larger. And it's not that it's floating, it just keeps expanding. This is you. And your flame keeps expanding larger and larger. It has now gone beyond the hemisphere, taking on the entire globe. This energy is so large, it's unlimited. It's intense in its beauty, and it never dies, and it never dwindles, and it never dilutes. It becomes more intense the larger it gets, and the larger it gets, the more it wants to continue to grow. And the flame goes beyond the world, into the universe, taking on the stars, and the other planets, and the sun, and the moons. And it is so expanded that it is now as large, as luminous as the divine, as spirit. And spirit and your flame are one. And you feel that expansiveness and that power and that energy. And it can communicate with you. Spirit can tell you, your soul, everything. You're so expansive. All the knowledge, all the wisdom of who you are is there right now with you. Feeling greater and bigger. And even hearing messages, divine messages of guidance. Not just from your soul, but from spirit. Because you are so expanded and part of something greater and bigger. Allow yourself to absorb this. Allow yourself to feel this. Allow yourself to alter that consciousness and experience that you're feeling right now. You are more than your earthly realm. You are this flame. This is who you are. Whether you think you're imagining it or not, you could never imagine something you're not. You can only imagine what you are and who you are. And staying expanded, open your eyes now. Now consciously focus on what you're feeling right in this moment. Immediately attend to what your body feels like, feeling expanded at the same time. Paying attention to your breathing. How are you breathing? What are you feeling? What's rushing through your mind right now at this expanded level? This is an altered state of being. And it goes deeper than this. You are loved. You're part of love. You're part of each other. Part of the reason why you were able to expand this much is because of everybody else that was in this room with you. because we appear to be individuals. We only appear that way to just have a brief individual experience. Just like a separate cell in your body right now is individual, but it is not experiencing itself as an individual cell. It's experiencing itself as a collective body. The whole body allows each individual cell to experience what it really is, part of a higher organism. And as each cell experiences those things, so do we as individual souls, part of a greater body. But we never lose our individuality. That is the greatest fear we have, of becoming part of one puzzle. But now I want you, just envision that. Envision life right now as if we took a whole picture of everybody, the world, all the different countries, right? Take a picture of it with you in it. And just picture that picture as flat in a two-dimensional world. This flat picture, because all pictures are two-dimensional. And now imagine that it's a puzzle. And all the pieces fit together to form that big picture. So let me ask you this. Have you ever done, during this COVID-19 lockdown and everything, how many people have actually done puzzles? Put them together? I know I did, a couple of them, right? How many of you, at the very end of the 1,000-piece puzzle, were missing one piece? How annoying do you think it would be to be missing one piece out of an entire puzzle? As a matter of fact, the more pieces the puzzle, the worse it is to have one missing. And that's how important you are to this picture. When you're no longer here, you're still here, and you're still part of a picture, but an altered picture. But you're still part of it. Once we were created, the picture was created, and the puzzle was created. And you cannot be part of that puzzle. You may not feel like part of the big picture. You may not feel important enough to be part of that big picture, but you are, and we are. And we are meant to be together, to build something greater. And what I'd like to do right now is, I just want you to listen. I like to inspire with songs and just not me talking all the time. There's a beautiful song. It was a musical. Of course, yes, it was a spiritual musical. Stephen Schwartz wrote it. It's from Godspell. But if we can get beyond religion and we listen to some of the words that our spiritual leaders told us and said to us, we might be able to gain some important information and a value. We can't chalk off the good stuff just because, well, I'm not Christian. So, in this musical, and it's also in the Bible, Stephen Schwartz took the Gospel according to Matthew, just like Jesus Christ Superstar was written, and turned it into a musical. Well, there is a song that, in this musical, that Jesus sings to his people and to everybody because of how profound it is and how important it is for us to recognize. Now, you want to ascend to a higher consciousness, then this is the kind of thing you need to be thinking about. A city of man we can build, and not a city of angels, but a city of man. So what is being stated there is not a city in another realm, in the angelic realm, because if we wanted to build a city there, we would have stayed there, and they already have a city there. But a city here, when they say and refer to man, they're referring to mankind. He's referring to this life, this human life. We can build a city in this human life. And I believe we can build a city in this human life. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, and that's what's going to heal us, and that's what's going to allow us to grow continuously. Focusing on ourselves, self-love, and the love of others, and how to help and heal everybody else as well. So anywhere in the spiritual realm, if you hear anything about that you can't help another person, you're not meant to help another person, that you're only meant to just heal yourself, just be a light. Be a light. Well, let me ask you a question. What's the purpose of the light unless you shine it somewhere? The light is meaningless unto itself. The light has to light something. And what it is lighting is other people's darkness. So that's why you want to walk in light. All right, I want to open it up for questions. I know there's not a lot of people here, but if you do have a question, please come to the microphone. Don't be shy. If you do have any questions, that's great. That lighting is great. Or just raise your hand. We don't have to have questions, by the way, because you're not. All right, everybody got, wow, you are all great. Oh, Susan, you have a question? Come on up. Anybody who has a question. Yes.
Yeah, we've got it right here. So
That's good.
Yeah, if you have a question, just come up to my 6 feet apart. Thanks.
Do I have somebody coming up, or do you have to go to the bathroom again?
No, I'm okay.
Oh, come on. All right, Susan, go ahead.
So thank you so much for tonight. I've really enjoyed this. I have a question. You were talking about mental health and all that kind of thing. So I have a daughter who has schizoaffective disorder, bipolar, and we started raising its head when she was 15, 16. I mean, really kind of violent towards me. And we finally, when she got to be, and it's genetic, but when she finally got to be about 23, 24, we finally got her meds straightened out. So, and she's a very she's who she is now. She's living, she's beautiful. She's very happy, and just yesterday she said, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life, you know, but she's on 9 medications. So, you know, I understand what you were talking about, but if you could expand a little further on someone like her, and
Yeah.
because you're saying, you know, the mental health, and I just want to make sure that people, if you need some medication, please take it, you know, you know, but I do understand, you know, so.
No, and I understand that concern, because 3/4 of the world that are on medication are holding that belief that they need it. And as long as they hold the belief that they need it, they need it. We are capable of healing, but in order to heal, there is a lot of that internal work that we need to do. I would venture to say, Susan, without going into any psychic realm, that her world was disrupted at a very young age, right? Okay. So I have yet to meet any person who has a physical ailment or an emotional ailment that has not had some trauma in their youths. Trauma creates the lack of self-belief and self-love. And when you separate from that source, your higher self, it's very difficult to get connected. So while the separation is there, absolutely the medication is necessary, because we can spiral into anything. But I will tell you this, and I would love her to know this. You can only have a mental pathology because of how sensitive and good of a person you are. I'll say that again. Depression, anxiety actually means something. It means you care so much, but you don't know how to control your care. It means you're a sensitive, loving person, and you've been hurt so much because of that. We don't want to lose the sensitivity. Unfortunately, what the medication does, it's called flattening your affect. It doesn't mean that she's still not sensitive. She was always a beautiful person. You were able to see it more because the emotions were controlled more, but she was always beautiful. She was always sensitive. She was always a loving person. But unfortunately, what some of the chemicals do in your brain, your norepinephrine and your serotonin, it keeps you from feeling those extremes. It keeps you from feeling those extremes. It doesn't mean you're still not thinking. That's the problem, why it's so difficult for anybody who's experiencing that to get to a normal level is because the medication alone only stops that negative, horrible feeling. It does not change your thoughts. You have to do that. And in order to do that, you have to start doing that internal spiritual work. I am something. I am worthy. I mean something. I'm divine. You have to take on a new set of beliefs. And that's probably some of the stuff that she's doing right now, which is helping to stabilize her.
Yes, thank you for that. I did want to mention that after she had 3 psychotic episodes having to go to the hospital, that her third eye opened. And so she talks to her angels, and she talks to beautiful entities, and she sees things and comes down and tells me what her experiences have been, and what they're doing with her when she's asleep, lucid dreams and all that. So it helped her evolve spiritually, unfortunately, going through all this, even on her medication. So that's the light in this whole thing.
And I'm going to expand upon that. We're souls that come from the other side, so we know we're connected to a divine force. Unfortunately, the knowing alone doesn't help. So you can experience angels. She can experience angels. She can experience spirit coming and appearing right in front. Well, at times it does anyway. It's the belief of that. You have to be able to absorb it. I'm not telling all of you don't believe in spirit or that you're divine. I'm telling you don't know what to do with that belief all the time. It's hard for you to believe. Not to mention that most people don't believe what they think they believe anyway. They want to believe, but it gets stuck here. They can go through the experience, but it gets stuck here. It never gets here. Smith, did you have a question?
No, I was just making sure the microphone could get around.
What's the matter? You can't come up with a question for me? No, that's okay. All right, we're coming to the end, and yes, okay, please, that's right. Yes, we got a question there. 2 more questions. I'm sorry, you're right. I lost you.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
I realized that I had to go through a lot of the feeling for my own feelings to get to the healing in the last 3 years, meaning I was really good at feeling and taking everybody else's emotions on, and then getting my own self-validation by just giving and doing and never really understanding what I needed. And I've spent the last 3 years doing that. So that's kind of new for me, to just focus on what I need. However, I don't know what to look for to kind of get validation the same way if I'm on the right path. I know I'm doing all the spiritual things, but what would you say to somebody that wanted to get some feedback or some validation that, yeah, I think you're moving in the right direction?
You're looking for validation, is that what you're saying? You're looking for some validation that you're making the right choices?
Well, yeah, just because you're a psychic and a medium.
Okay.
No, I do have my own self-validation, but it's not like you can talk about
What's
it
your own self-validation? How has your life been now?
It's in the last 6 months, it's been great.
It's been great. Okay, good. So that's a great validation. What other validation would you like? It's okay. This is not a trick question.
Yeah,
So what
don't
would you
know. I
like?
think
What
that's my question.
validation? What would help you? Because you're right, because we'd like to have evidence that we are doing the right thing and making the higher choices, right? We want some evidence. And there is evidence. What would you like, though? And I'm asking that because they're asking that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is
Okay.
just happiness and peace.
Then you won't get the validation
Till you
until you
find it.
know what you want.
I think it is just inner peace and happiness. Maybe I have it.
How about more? Ask for more.
Um,
How about
well, I guess
ask,
there was a lot of loss. to
give
get
me a
here.
big sign, universe, spirit, whoever you talk to. Give me a sign I'm taking the right steps. I am focusing on hearing you tell me I am taking the right steps. How many of you actually talk like that? Put your hands down because you're lying.
I do if I see a butterfly. Oh, there's one. There's
You
a
may
feather.
talk like that a bit,
Yeah.
maybe.
Or if I see a feather. Oh, there's one. I must
Okay, so, all right. Now, out of the people who raised their hand and said that they talk like that, how many expect an answer? Thank you. Oh, now we got half hands. Do you get answers? Good. You got to ask. There's nothing wrong with asking. Ask for more. You deserve more. You want more. Ask for it. It's in your asking that will show whether you believe or not. How we ask. People, this is the Bible Belt. Ton of Christians here, right? They're praying every single day. Why do you think most of their prayers are not heard and unanswered? What do you think that is? Because they were all bad people? No, because they were taught you're supposed to pray. You want to talk to God and you want something, you pray. They don't believe that. It's really hard to believe that there's some force, there's some energy that if I talk to is going to help me. It's hard to believe we're part of those forces. Now, we are one with that force. When you don't get a validation, you're only blocking it. You are the validation you're asking for. When you have to ask for a validation, you don't believe enough in yourself.
Okay.
Isn't that validation then of what more you need to do?
Yeah.
Believe more, not Lion King, greatest movie. Walt Disney was very metaphysical and spiritual. Most of the stories he chose to make into movies and his family make into movies not only had moral values for the children, but had metaphysical messages for the adults. That story is about our relationship with the God force. Mufasa represents God in the story, and Simba represents us. And I'll jump you to a scene. After Simba left, Mufasa's dead, and Simba's depressed. And finally, he meets Rafiki, meets up with him again, which represents his inner soul, the Holy Spirit, his reconnection, his higher self, meets up with him. And he shows his reflection in the pond, and he sees his father, Mufasa, because Rafiki says he resides within you. And then all of a sudden, Mufasa appears. Mm-hmm. And Mufasa says the most important thing to Simba, that's the most profound thing in the entire movie. You forgot who I was because you forgot who you are. So therefore, in order to get even more validation, there's only one person you have to believe is worth that validation.
Okay. Thank you.
Good for you. We have one other question? Yes. Oh, another one there. Okay, good. All right, we'll go through. We'll go a little over. I know, just a little. Give me 5 minutes, okay? We want to get through this. Go ahead.
How do you make choices about where to shine your light and who to shine it on? What if you're shining your light and where you're shining it is not received? Does that mean you keep shining or does it mean you move on?
Wow. That's an excellent question, because it's a real question. You never turn your light off. You're not supposed to.
But maybe your power and your heart.
You don't lose your light if you're connected the right way.
Well, I don't mean that you lose your light. It's just a matter of, in a practical sense, where do you place your energy and your focus?
Maybe we don't understand the concept of shining your light to start with, right? Shining your light means walking your talk. Walking your talk with passion, with love, in your heart. It all takes place in your heart. You don't have to do anything on the outside. You don't even have to start talking with people and convincing people. And so if it's not received, it has nothing to do with your lack of communicating the right stuff to this person. It has to do with that person who has a block, right? So there isn't a matter of moving on. You just don't stop shining. You have to stop thinking that you're shining for something outside of you. You're shining what's inside of you so the outer world sees it.
No, I understand that, but I mean, like think of the concept of toxic relationships, for example.
Toxic relationship.
Yeah, and the
That's,
kinds-
okay, when you're talking about toxic relationships, you're talking about something different, because you can actually keep yourself from becoming toxified as long as your light is shining. Look, I understand there's been plenty of that. I've even, cut out, and not when I say cut out of my social media, some of those people that have been very toxic, but they are not cut out of my life. At any given time that they contact me, call me, ask me for help, I'm there, but I'm still sending them light. I'm still shining. And they can join in on that light all they want. Now, what you're talking about is really the question should be how to stop being affected by toxic relationships.
That's not actually my question. I was bringing it up because I'm the kind of person who believes that love and light will change people, and
And it will.
It will, maybe in some. It will, but what?
No, you're
I
putting a
guess this
but
is
on the
about-
end of that, which
No.
means you don't believe that.
What I guess what I'm saying is maybe I'm too focused on outcomes as opposed to just being the light.
By shining your light constantly, even on the toxic people, this is what happens. I'll give you an example. So we had a spiritual master, and he's walking and he's talking and he's preaching, and all of the positive people are following him. And they're shining with him. Oh, I love what he's saying, and their energy is with him. Now you got a group over here of toxic people, and they're looking, and maybe some are criticizing, and others are going, And now they become part of that group. The more you shine your light and you're you, and you believe in you, yes, even the toxic people can get beyond their toxicity, because light is stronger than negativity. Keep shining. Don't worry about the toxic people around you. Send them even more love and light, because they're blind. Right? Thank you for the question. One last one. You were standing there. You're so wonderful, and I love your gray hair, because it's much like mine.
Hi. My question is that you were talking about don't stay in the mundane, but what if you're stuck there because of your body condition? You keep wanting to do all these spiritual things, but you're stuck in a body that hurts.
Do you want me to give you an answer that makes you feel good? Or do you want me to give you a truth? I'm asking you, because I don't want to impose. There is no such thing as victimization in this world. If you're stuck in a mundane body, you put yourself there. The beginning part, don't get me wrong now, childhood and your experiences in childhood absolutely start you in the direction of the way you're going to believe about yourself, but adulthood keeps you there. I will say this. Take the time. Do not give up. Go deeper and harder, because you're worth so much more than being stuck in that mundaneness. I know it's hard. This life is not easy. What do you think I'm doing this? Yes, I got to point it out, and it makes people feel bad. Oh, this is all about me. Yes, it's all about us, but isn't that a good thing? Because we can change it then. You're not stuck unless you want to be stuck. Now, before you answer that, take it back to your seat and realize that sometimes being stuck also gives us a certain benefit. It keeps us from having to believe in ourselves, and it gives us a great excuse as to why we're not achieving what we want. My past, my body, my this, my that, my financial situation. I understand all of that, and I don't blame people for that. But we want to get beyond that now, and this is what you got to do. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.